wanted to talk about so the student debt thing. So Biden had that whole deal where they were going to relieve $10,000 of student debt up to 20,000 for Pell Grant recipients, and that was kind of the big focus of that bill. We actually covered most of the bill, um, but that wasn't the biggest part. The biggest part, they're putting more money back into college. They're going to start reducing the cost, capping what it can be. They're going to start putting more government money into college directly, and they're going to change back.
Well, for people's kids out there.
Yeah, and they're going to change the repayment program. So now it's 10% of discretionary income. Biden's lowering it to 5. Plus, they've narrowed down what counts as discretionary income, so that 5% is really more like 3 or 4 in comparison. So that'll be a huge deal for people who are paying. And now what happened was, okay, so there were a couple cases that were initially found to not have standing. One of them I can't remember exactly, but it was what state it was.
Yeah. Pause. Tell us what it means if something does not have standing.
Oh,
start us there so we know what you mean when you're talking about
so this. In court, if you sue somebody, like, I sue Lacey owes me $1,000 and I sue her, I have to show that she actually owes me the $1,000, that I have a reason to sue her, right?
So you have to show that there's any merit at all
to the case, right?
So you don't necessarily have to prove the entire case, but you have to show that there's like some sort of merit to you even bothering to argue this.
Yeah, that there's some discrepancy here. Yeah, so it's one of those things where it's like I could say Lacey owes me $1,000, and then and then the court will be like, well, what for? And I'd be like, just cause. The court's going to say that doesn't have standing. Right.
Right. So you have to be able to, even at the onset, present enough to show that this is a case even worth being a case.
Right. So the case, I can't remember what state it was, whether it was Texas or something like. I can't remember. I'll look it up for you guys later. Right. Here's what happened, though. Essentially, I can tell you the outset. So a Republican group filed this case that this. It was Ohio. It was the state of Ohio, and they have a pension deal with the state. Right, for their state employees. And a Republican group filed that, hey, if you relieve this student debt, it's going to harm this pension because this pension has invested some of their money in refinance student debt kind of stuff, right? Well, here was
student debt sort of backed
securities. Yeah. So anyway, the judge initially found that there was no standing. The initial judge that oversaw this case, the reason he found that it was no standing was because the state of Ohio didn't complain about this. This was a third-party Republican group filing a motion on behalf of the state of Ohio, and the state of Ohio didn't want to file a motion. So this would be like...
We're not having a problem.
Right.
We're good.
So I have to bring in my prop. So this would be like, Lacey owes me $1,000, and I'm like, I don't give a shit. And Grogu's like, no, I'm going to sue Alacius on Duncan's behalf. And then the judge asks me, well, do you want to sue her? And I'm like, no, I don't give a shit. The judge is going to sit there. And
then the judge is like, so why are we here?
Yeah, why the hell are we here?
Why are we here? Why did I put pants on for this?
Right.
This is not a pants day.
Right. I put a robe on, man. Anyway, so that's what happened, essentially, right? First judge kicks it down, but they appeal it, and the appeals in the Supreme Court in the Fifth Circuit is the most conservative. A lot of them are like Trump-appointed judges. And so they said, well, hey, you know what? This is too big of a decision for us to decide. We'll kick it up to the actual Supreme Court. So this is the case the Supreme Court's going to be hearing in March on whether or not Biden can give the student debt relief, right? Now, given the Supreme Court, there's a good chance they'll knock it down too for some stupid reason, right? But it's going to be really embarrassing for them, whatever the reason is, because there's not a really good reason at all. Especially when the plaintiff themselves is saying, I'm not a plaintiff. I don't want to be a part of this.
Right? The plaintiff is like, why am I here?
Yeah. Well, the plaintiff won't even be there. The plaintiff is somebody else entirely. I'm here to complain on somebody who doesn't want to complain. I mean, it's just weird. So that's going on. But here's what's going on. There are other factors within the student debt relief program, and there are other things they can do. And so, well, this is kind of where Biden's doing this pitch, and we'll see how successful it is if it's successful. But I just wanted to show you guys this real quick.
If you have student loans, you'll want to listen to this. Today, the Biden administration released a detailed plan that will make it easier for student loan borrowers to get rid of their debt using income-driven repayment plans and could cut some payments in half.
Now that the constitutionality of Biden's student debt forgiveness plan is being hashed out in the Supreme Court, the Biden administration has decided to rewrite at least one important portion of his proposal that would, in my opinion, have a massive positive impact should it actually be implemented. So this is aside from the up to $20,000 that Biden's plan would have forgiven. This is the part that I didn't think received the attention it deserved. We talked about it on the show, but it has to do with the student loan forgiveness plan and the income-based repayment program. That is going to be overhauled by the Biden administration in a good.
Okay, so that's Anna Kasparian with the Young Turks, and they're talking about this. So essentially, I'm going to just sort of sum this up real quick, what she's getting to. Because she's going to do more of a political analysis of this, and you should watch her political analysis. It's actually pretty good.
Right, but let's do a dollars analysis.
Yeah, we're just going to do the financial analysis. Right. What he's saying is, if this doesn't go through in March, if the Supreme Court for some reason shoots it down, right? What we're going to do is we're going to do the 10-year forgiveness program, and we're going to revamp it. So the 10-year program right now is, I think, it's 20 years, right? If you're in certain jobs and you pay your student debt over like 20 years, they'll forgive all of your student debt as long as you make your minimum payments for 20 years without any lapse, right? They're going to say, well, no, we're going to do it 10 years, but you got to make your minimum payments. But once again, as I said before, they're lowering the minimum payment to 5% of discretionary income, and they've narrowed down what that is. So for people that are lower income, your minimum payment could be $0, or it could be a few bucks a month.
Is that still going to be based on having jobs with nonprofits and or government entities?
Yes, but this is all for everybody else too.
So even if you don't work for a nonprofit or government entity, you will get to flow into this.
Yep. So even if I spent $150,000 on my PhD and decide to go work for McDonald's, as long as I make my minimum payment every month for 10 years, after 10 years, I can apply to have the whole thing forgiven.
And this is whether you are a teacher working for a school, or you work for McDonald's, or you work for some big corporation. It doesn't matter who you work for.
As long as you're making your payment.
You make 10 years worth of payments, and they're going to say, goodbye.
That's this new loophole he's trying to do. Can he pull it off? We'll see. But that would be pretty awesome. Either way.
There's so many people.
Well, this actually is I think is actually a little bit better of a plan than the $10,000 student debt relief, because you can get almost all of your student debt, if not all of it, relieved.
Yep.
In 10 years. I think everybody would take that deal. I would.
Yeah, I'd take that deal all day long.
Yeah. Oh, I can make minimum payments for 10 years. Shit. So, yeah, so that was that. So that was the news segment for today. Fun stuff. But we thought you guys should know about that. And we'll keep you up to date more with the student loan program and what's going on with that.